Good evening and welcome to my podcast. I'm here to fight CPS Stop Taking Our Children. I'm Bob Pace. This is a live podcast and I welcome all of you. And I welcome you to hopefully resolve some of your questions and concerns. I'm not an attorney, but I have a lot of advice to give you. I too was once in CPS. I too have my children kidnapped and trafficking into the foster care system. I've been there where you've been there. So I know what you're going through and the mistakes I made. Hopefully I can pass them on to you. A couple things, some housekeeping um, things here. There are several ways to integrate with this podcast, meaning that this podcast is live and you can be a part of it. One way is to call in, and my number is 626-698-0990. That number is my work phone. It's on the 14 shows I'm on from 7 to 8 o'clock at night, in the morning from 10 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock for 1 hour Pacific Standard Time. That's Monday through Sunday, twice a day. So you can call me on that phone during those times and I'll answer the phone at 626-698-0990. And I will put you on speakerphone and you can talk about your case and hopefully the people in the room can help you and so forth. Now, another way that you can integrate with this podcast is that you can type in comments. We're broadcast on YouTube using the StreamYard application. You found us on Facebook. So when typing a comment, you need to state your question and then please allow your name, city, state, or country and be complete with your CPS case. Now you're probably wondering, why am I saying country? Because we have lots of countries that call in. They too have had CPS problems. We've had Australia, we've had Canada, United Kingdom, we have Ghana in South America, we have Mexico, we had Mozambique in Africa, and we had Denmark, and lately we just had Liberia, which is on the west side of Africa, and they too were having some issues there. So they've called in and texts and comments have helped them. One of them from Mexico actually called because they were trying to get back their children that were in Missouri in the States. So I have a wealth of information to share with you, some rules to go over. And I do have a co-host. I just have not seen her yet. Now, another way to interact with this podcast is that you could contact my show producer. Her name is Grace, and she does a marvelous job working behind the scenes, and she will work with you to get you on the podcast. All you need to do is pick one of the 14 podcasts, either morning or evening, Sunday, Monday, to whatever the days are, and tell her in the email. The email can be sent to grace@vincentwdavis.com. That's grace@vincentwdavis.com. And that's all you have to do. So email her and she will gladly put you on. Again, I want to thank Grace for all the hard work she does behind the scenes. That is great. I do want to thank Vincent Davis, who his law firm, Vincent W. Davis and Associates, is sponsoring this podcast. He's the one that sets it up and everything. And I want to thank you, Mr. Davis, for all that you do. Also, his number is 888-888-6582, and I'll tell you more about Mr. Davis when I talk about my 3 rules. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the phone number on that you can call. You know about comments, you know about emailing to be a guest on the show. And I want to welcome Kima Richardson. She's from Brooklyn, New York. Good evening. And how did your day go? Trying to see how it is. Daniel, my co-host, said she'll be on in 5 minutes. Now I'm checking to see when Faye will be on. Oh boy, tell you. Okay, so I've already notified Faye, who's another one of our regulars here, as well as Kima, and um, I appreciate her there. Yeah, I'm so sorry. You want to be at your sixth grade daughter's graduation, and they're giving you resistance. Well, some people told me that they've gone as a friend of somebody. So if you know someone else in the class, they'll let you sit with you. Maybe you can sit with them and it would be okay. I'm just guessing. I don't know for a fact. But you could go there and see if you can see your daughter graduate and sit with them. There's no restraining order, KK, is there, about being around your daughter? That's one thing you got to be careful about. Is a restraining order, you can't go. And I'm sorry to tell you that. That's one of the worst things I can tell a parent, that they cannot see their. Excuse me. Oh God. Ugh. Tell you. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. Fifth grade graduation. Yeah. I'm sorry your children don't want to see you. I really am. That makes it very hard. See, our daughter was poisoned and taken from us, and she couldn't see us, so it was bad. It was bad. It's wrong what they did. It's very, very wrong. I don't know why you have to be in, um, uh, with the foster care system. That seems a little ridiculous. If there's no restraining order, then you can be there. So I don't know why. I don't know why. Okay. Um, yeah, that's so bad. Well, for all you listening out there, who is Bob Pace? Bob Pace is a loving man, a loving father, husband, and has 6 children. And unfortunately, he got laid off to age 60, and it was a hard thing for him to swallow through no fault of his own. And he's been struggling to get a job. He had a job for a while, but it petered out. So one of the things that I find by calling people is your age. They don't say they discriminate against age, but because of my age, I know that they're not hiring me or keeping me employed. So I'm determined still to find work, and hopefully I will. Yeah, you say the issues with the foster care mother. Well, that's her problem. Do you have a court order that says you have to abide by what the foster care says? No, you don't. Foster care is strictly for to take care of the children in their custody. They can't do additional restrictions on parents. They're not a CPS worker, and it's really sad where your case has gotten yourself, KK. Um, I want to help you and all that. But it's also hard if your children don't want to see you. That makes it really, really, really hard. That's the worst thing to have is when your children have been brainwashed or alienated to forget about your kids. Now, you're going to think about who is CPS. Well, the Child Protection System has many different names in each different state. But it's a branch of social services that's supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse and do family reunification. The parents, the biological parents, are the best parents to put the kids with. Not with strangers, not with foster carers, not with relatives. That's not. And so, you know, CPS wants the money. It's a money making thing. That's why they take your child. They get $50,000 per child per month to have your child in their custody. And that's a lot of money. They get additional money for having in foster care. And they get additional money if they're special needs children. It goes on to the tune where they're making $80 billion a year. $80 billion. That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money, $80 billion. Think what you all could do with $80 billion. Can you fathom what $80 billion would do to your life right now? Okay, what KK says, they have his foster parent list as a paternal grandmother. She has no blood, no relationship. She's not even a friend. Oh my God. A paternal grandmother? Oh, KK. Well, I'm sorry, KK. It's like the CPS is an outlaw there in Brooklyn, New York. And after watching the court battles in New York, it's ridiculous what's been happening to everybody there. New York is a corrupt state. But these social workers you're dealing with are very, very, very corrupt. They don't care about you as a person, their parents, grandparents, seniors, elders. They don't care. They're very deceptive, they're not transparent. In fact, there's proven cases of the attitude of social workers in the CPS system, in the child protection system. And what I mean by the CPS, I'm talking about the child protection system. It may have other acronyms in every state, but it's all the same thing. It's a branch of social service. And they take children no matter if they're in extreme danger or not, and that's wrong. My kids were taken, they were still in school. How was being in school extreme danger? How was that extreme danger? Anyway, it's something I talk about every day, twice a day, 7 days a week. I've been doing this since October. It's a long time, a lot of shows. And I know some of it's been repetitious, but I try to take things out of sequence, try to talk it differently, try to add some humor and so forth. And I got some people that call in or my guest, and I have a co-host, and hopefully she'll be here soon. But I was talking about these social workers. They're from Prescott, Arizona. And in 2022, they decided to make pink t-shirts with a saying on the front, professional kidnappers. And on the back, they put, where are your children at? Like they're implying that they're out there taking your children. And they paraded in stores with those t-shirts. They were immediate fired, including the director. So the whole CPS system, Prescott, which they go by DCS, Department of Child Services, was fired. That's 25 years of experience out the window. And those social workers were really disgusting. I mean, there's been one social worker on my show. It was Carol from Maryland. She was very nice, very professional. And she tried to paint a different picture, and she was appalled to hear what I had to say. And I told her, I said, the child protection CPS is like you're in Alice in Wonderland, fell in a rabbit hole and going from room to room off with your head and not knowing where you're at, what you're doing, what's going on, who's on first, who's on second. And they'll keep your head spinning and you keep going round and round and round, going nowhere. It's a horrible experience. On top of that, they think they don't have to stand to anybody. They can violate your constitutional rights. They can violate your civil rights. They don't care. All they care about is the dollar that comes in there. Hi, Darlene. I'm so glad that you've come. Darlene was once a guest on our show. She talked, and she's from Georgia. And in Georgia, they call their CPS DFCS, Department of Family Child Services. So as you see, it's maybe different, but it's all CPS. Well, the reason why these witnesses can interact with your children is that they weren't accused. You see, the sad part about accusations, there are two types of people that make accuse accusations. One is the professional, and that is the person that is a lawyer or doctor, and they're required by law, a nurse, a school teacher, anything, to report suspected abuse or neglect. The other person is a lay person. It could be a family, a friend, your in-laws, a sister, brother, the neighbor. Those people are lay people, and they do it. A lot of them do it for retaliation against you as parents. Maybe they don't like the way your dog barks, or they don't like the way your yard looks, and they'll do that. They'll do that purposely, and that is wrong. That is totally wrong to abuse the CPS and throw it on people like that. Yeah, I'm sorry, Kima. I know you've told me that before about your illness. They're trying to do that, so you have to keep going every day. You're right, Darlene. No one holds CPS accountable. I know that for a fact. Faye in Richmond, Kentucky, reported a lot of money unaccounted for in the CPS system there in Richmond. In fact, it grew to over $800,000 of money they don't know where it was spent on. Right now, when a state gets the money from the federal government, the state filters down to the county, no one is keeping track of it. They're not transparent. They're not being audited. They can't be, how are you spending your money, that kind of thing. It just goes really bad. It's like our government wastes so much money, and it's our taxpayers that are paying for it. It's you out there that work in the ditches, the trenches, work so hard to your bone. Your money is given to them in the form of taxes, which help support these programs. But these programs are turning out awful. They really are. Um, the food stamp program, the medical health program, they're so overtaxed. Because why? Well, one of the reasons is our borders have been opened up. So a person in Costa Rica is making $25 a month can make now $25 an hour working at McDonald's. Why would they want to work in Costa Rica for a little chump change when they can make lots of money? To them, it's lots of money, and they'll sit at home. So people come across our borders because all they have to do is, can we have asylum? It's been open borders. We used to have it regulated, and we used to have it controlled. But millions and millions of people, since our current president's been president, has allowed the borders to remain open. Now he's trying to do an election time, trying to do an obsolete turn and try to close the borders. And what he's coming with is ridiculous. Congress just the other day voted him down. He doesn't understand. He doesn't understand, and that's why we need a change in leadership. We need a businessman. We need somebody that can be strong and somebody that can help resolve some of these issues. Our world is not the same anymore. We're going through global changes. Economies are changing. Governments are changing. There's several wars we got going on right now. The whole world is really at very high risk. You got countries that are now throwing trash in the yard. You got North Korea throwing air balloons with trash into South Korea. This is so childish to see that people would waste money to engineer a balloon with trash to put on somebody else's backyard. This is ridiculous. I mean, the same thing goes who and true what Russia's doing. They invaded a country and they took it. They weren't sitting there promoting democracy or anything else. That country wanted to be separated. They don't want them, and it's sad. The children are being so hurt everywhere. Their children are being hurt everywhere. We got a government that won't stop and won't surrender, and using its people as screens, letting a couple 100,000 men, women, and children be died because they're trying to hide behind them in the tunnels and in the ground. That's wrong. That's wrong. It's also wrong to go over to a festival that people are enjoying themselves and murder them. Not only that, they put babies in microwave ovens. What kind of CPS agency is over there that will allow that group to do that? Can you imagine watching a baby fry inside a microwave oven? This is ludicrous. And the people forget about October 7th. And now they're sitting there saying, look what we're doing to the innocent people in China. Look, those people can turn the government in. They can tell the guys to cease fire. They have a proposal, but it hasn't happened yet. But the children are everywhere getting. The children are being put into armies of ISIS and Libya and Syria and Iraq. Children, I'm talking 12, 13, 14-year-old boys and girls are being taught how to fight and blow people up and stuff. That's their idea of how they take care of children. Where's the CPS there? The CPS in the United States and other countries I mentioned are sitting back collecting money. $80 billion. 80 billion. 80, comma, 000, comma, 000, comma, 000. And if you don't know what that is, that's 9 zeros with another 0 and an 8 in front of it. $80 billion. And no one, our government, our Congress is turning their backs. They're not helping. There's been rises at Sacramento, California. I've seen the videos. It's been going on for years. 2010, 2005. There's been 3 periods that have been painted. The first period is from the 1600s in colonial times, and it went up to 1875. And today, or was it 2 days ago, I was just told that a social worker in Chicago, Illinois, decided to be funny and advertise an ad that was run in 1848. Black children for sale. That's gross. That's grotesque. People are not economies. They're not supposed to be property. This is sickening. This is sickening. The wars are sickening. The innocent children are bad. So I know how you guys are in there, and we need to change that. We need to change that. 800 DCF caseworkers were disciplined for violations. I believe that. They are the bottoms of the barrel. I've already talked to enough of them. Myself, I've been there. Myself. KK says, my current quarter says I'm to be involved in all decision regarding medical and educational and therapeutic, and still my children have appointments that are not even invited. I agree. That's wrong, Kima. That's wrong. And where Darlene is in Cherokee County, there's no due process. I know. You're on my show. You talked to me. And Faye has backed you up. I'm sorry, not Faye, but Darlene. She's in Georgia. And KK says, I transfer my children's Social Security to someone else, and that money pays for their additional services. It is corrupt. It is corrupt. Department of Family Child Service buries you in lies so deep and gives you no to very little opportunity to prove yourself innocent. When you're in CPS, you're guilty till you're proven innocent. It isn't other courts of law where you're innocent till you're proven guilty. It's an uphill battle in CPS. I tell you, it's an uphill battle. And so I feel for all of you. It's something that you need to be careful on. You need to be careful on. Oh boy. Got going there pretty quick, and sometimes the anger and the frustration comes out because all I do is think about my case and all you other people because I feel for you. I want to help you. Now, there are 3 rules that I talk about every show. And the first one is you need to get an attorney. And a lot of you says, well, I can't find an attorney. They cost too much money. Well, I know if you spend at least 40 hours, you can find attorneys that were called pro bono. And all you have to do is word your search on the internet correctly. And I say, I'm using the example of Georgia. Find in Athens and Atlanta. The reason why I say a second city, because Athens is really small. So find in Athens and Atlanta, Georgia, a pro bono dependency attorney. Now, dependency is the court that you're in there and so forth. So you need to find them. Welcome, Danielle. Danielle will be coming on soon. She'll be coming on soon. So there you are. Are you ready to come on, Danielle? I don't know if you're ready to come on, Danielle. Well, I'm going to try you, Danielle.
Yep, I'm ready.
About Danielle's got them
I'm ready.
behind her. These are 8 ladies from the Prescott, Arizona CPS branch of Child Protection Services. They call theirs DCS, Department of Children's Services. Anyway, I want to say they do exist. And Danielle is someone from Georgia. She's in the same area as Darlene Smith is from. It's Diane Wall. And there she is, shows up the T-shirt. What does it say? Professional kidnapper. And on the back, it says, do you know where your children are at? And so it's very obvious what the message is from those social workers. So we're talking about rule number 1. And so rule number 1 is you need to get an attorney. I tell you how to search for one. And you will find at least, hopefully, 10 attorneys. You narrow it down because you need to call the 10 attorneys first. And how are you going to call them? You're just going to get on the phone and call them. And if they don't answer, you call them a second time. And if they don't answer, do them a third time. By then, I'd forget about them. They're not a good company. So you're calling to see if they're in business or they're operating or forth like that. And one of the first questions you ask the receptionist, something like that, do you do pro bono work? And the area of law is dependency law, fighting CPS. If they say yes, then that's a good start. Further, you say, do they do lawsuits against CPS and either the state or federal court? And if they say yes, that's even better yet, because you know that that law firm is fighters. So once you determine you got 10 good people, what you do is you narrow the list down to 4 people. And why I say 4 people? Because you're going to add one person to that list to do what's called a consultation. Mr. Davis will do a consultation for 30 minutes for $60. Now, he can be reached at 888-888-6582. He can be reached. And with that being said, you just tell the office that Bob Pace sent you. And when you speak to Mr. Davis, you say, Bob Pace sent you. So that's 888-888-6582. Furthermore, if you want to reserve it on his calendar, you go to calendly.com/law office Vincent W.D. /Bob Pace. Right. That's candidly.com/law office of VWD /Bob Pace, and you can go ahead and line it right up there. Now, what Danielle is sharing, she is sharing the definition of pro bono. And it is possible. Danielle's looked up a lot of people, and I have too. They are out there. And so when you find a law firm that is pro bono, that they have fought CPS and in state and civil, and they know about dependency, then you want to line up an attorney to do a consultation. And you're going to go ahead and talk to 4 plus Vincent Davis, that's 5 attorneys. Then you sit down and you weigh out the pros and the cons. If one attorney outfit talks about money all the time, drop them. They're not worth it. Right. Money should not be their key thing on trying to help you. You need to help. You need the spirited help. You need to have some help, some hope. You need that hope there. Darlene is further saying parents have zero advocacy. A lot of parent attorneys really work hard for the court. They're scared of the judges or the Department of Federal Family Child Services attorneys.
And they're scared of the SAG, which
There's
is
no
the Attorney
presumption
General.
of innocent in juvenile dependency court. That is correct. Investigate the CASA nonprofit where the corrupt hang out on these communities, committees together. The female juvenile dependency judge, Georgia's House of Rep lady, Cherokee County. Anyway,
the FCS director.
Judges are elected, and this is election year, so it's important for you to go out and elect your judges. It really is.
Well,
There's no question about that.
The one that she's
You need to
referring
go
to
out there.
in Cherokee
But
County.
now that you've contacted an attorney, and
Can you hear
you
me,
should
Bob?
get one, but think about this. If you're going to do open heart surgery, are you going to cut open your chest yourself to work on the heart? Are you going to have your friend next door work on it? Or better yet,
Right.
are you going to hire a plumber or an auto mechanic to open your chest? No. You're going to need a professional doctor. CPS is just as bad as open heart surgery. You need someone who can navigate the system, who's a fighter. Has to be a fighter, has not be afraid of CPS. And so those are the kind of attorneys you need. And you will find one. You will find one. And Mr. Davis is one. I'm giving you one right there. All you have to do is call him at 888-888-6582, and he'll do a consultation for you. Just make sure you tell him that Bob Pace sent you. So, long-winded there.
Can you hear
So that's
me?
rule number one.
Can you hear me?
You won't regret getting an attorney. I did, because I didn't get one right away at first. And I thought I could use the court-appointed attorney. The court-appointed attorneys are a waste of time. They are not really attorneys. They have a caseload of 30 or more clients. They only talk the date of the hearing. They won't talk to you ahead of time. They will not fight for your case. They're going to look at the easy way out. They're friends of the judge in that court. They're friends of the social worker attorneys, friends of the children's attorneys. They're friends with everybody.
Right. Can you hear me?
So good luck, because I waited a year and I got an attorney after a year, and it was really, really, really sad. Danielle, do you want anything more to looking for an attorney?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I'm not hearing you, Danielle. There's no sound. There's no sound. You got a private message in private chat. So look at the private chat. Are you hearing me okay, Danielle? Okay, good. Well, your picture's good and your backdrop's good. It's just that not hearing anything with your voice.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I want you to tell you that Danielle is a fine lady who's fought CPS for a long time. She has a special needs son, and he was lost in the system, and she found out, and she's trying to get him back. He's over the age of 21 now.
Can you hear me now?
He's over the age of 21. So, Danielle, you will get your son back. You will get your son back. You just got to keep fighting there. There's no question about that.
Can you hear me? No, hello. Here. Oops.
No.
Can you hear me?
Here. I know that's frustrating for you, Danielle, because you like to talk and you like to express your concerns like the rest of the people in the room. Again, my number's open, 626-698-0990. You can call in and talk about your case if anybody wants to call in. I want to thank for all my emojis. I want to thank for all your comments. Please leave a comment about our podcast. It's important that we have comments and so forth. Now, rule number 2 is the worst one to think about is paperwork, and everybody hates paperwork. But you have to do paperwork. You got to keep track of your records and documents, and you want to organize it into a notebook. You want to get a 6-inch 3-ring binder, stuff it full of notebook, college rule notebook paper, get some dividers, some subject dividers, and write on them. And one of the first ones you want to keep from your there's so many allegations that are going to happen to you the first 6 months, a year or two, that you can't remember them all. So you write down the date and the time that the allegation occurred, who was involved. Was it social workers? Was it the police? Was it your children? Whoever it was. You write down the names, all the people involved, Then the next line, you write down what the incident was. They came to your home, you came to the office, they took your kids from school, you were picked up at the hospital, whatever it was, you write it down. And it can be also with not only CPS, it can be with the police or anything related to your CPS case. And then after that, you want to put down the outcome. Was the thing resolved or is it still open? And if it is, you got to wait till you can fill it in. Maybe you'll fill it in later. So it's important that you write the outcome. And you repeat that over and over and over as you fill up your notebook. And you can use highlighters, yellow pens and pink felt markers to highlight things that'll help you later on because you won't remember 6 months. You need that. I didn't do that. I think you should. Also, if you do parenting classes or programs like anger management programs, or you go to the doctors for clinical uh, therapy. You want to document those, and you want the date and the time of those things, and you want to make copies of the reports, anything that comes in there, hole punch them, stick them into your section in there. That way you can keep track of them. You also want to keep track of anything that you're required to do or you didn't require to do that you did. I guess Danielle decided to go off because she doesn't have voice. Yeah, Darlene, people run unopposed. It's like we, as responsible adults, got to pick and got to vote our judges. My judge, in my case, all he knew was about collision damage and car repair work and knew nothing about neglect or abuse or reunification. He also was a corrupt judge. He is a corrupt judge. And you got to get rid of those corrupt judges. That's why you need to vote. That's why you need to vote. Going back to the paperwork, you got that second tab going, which is your list of classes and programs and so forth, and your drug tests, and also make copies of all that, or put the copies in your notebook, hole punch them, and add them in there. Then your next tab could be info, all the places you find, the websites, the phone numbers, the people you talk to, the 388, the ICWA, all the different things you find. That could be a list in there. And then you can use the rest of dividers any way you want. As you get court papers, you want to hole punch them and put them in your notebook. The ideal is you have one notebook with everything together that's organized, and you can talk it over with a judge, or you can look at it a year from now and you know exactly what was happening a year ago. So paperwork is important. Don't forget it. You got to keep track of everything. I didn't. That was a mistake in my part. I'm trying to tell you from experience. Now, the third rule is the one that is so important. And everybody, even today, I had a couple today from Columbia, Louisiana, that talked about how the social workers came in their home and they had a van outside and they took their children, everything. They opened the door. They didn't know. No one knows. The rule is you never open the door to strangers. And I always share a picture, but right now Danielle has that picture, and so you have to visualize this. But a guy named Roger on May 3rd was gunned down in his apartment. He was a veteran, a black man, a man that went to high school. His mother was proud of him. He went and joined the Air Force. He has a responsible job. He's a veteran, and he was home at the time in a nice, up-to-do apartment talking to his girlfriend on FaceTime. Little did she know, or he knew, that he'd be dying on the phone. He answers the door, and the policeman point blank fired 5 bullets. Bang, 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 rapidly. And the guy was thrown to the ground, and he died there, gurgling the blood and everything else. And that was all caught on his chest cam and all caught on FaceTime. His girlfriend heard all that. And that could have been unavoided. And that is the rule I'm telling you. Think about that. Never answer your door because you don't know who's on the other side. You just do not answer the door. And you don't let them in your apartment or your home or your yard or your ranch. If you have a gate at the front of the ranch, you put it there. Okay, we got someone calling in. Whoops, we did have someone calling in. I picked up the phone, and then he stopped. Okay, let me go ahead and see who it was. That'd be nice. I don't know who called. I thought it was Faye.
I'm sorry, the person you are trying to reach has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet. Please try your call again.
Okay, the voice box is not set up. Let's see who called. Let me see. Calls. Here it is. Oh, Danielle. Okay, she called. Okay.
Hello. Please state your name after the tone, and Google Voice will try to connect you.
Bob Pace.
Hello?
Hey, you can talk on the phone then. That'd be fine. You can show
Yeah.
your picture and talk on the phone.
You can't hear me on the computer? I mean, on the thing? Like, hold on. Let me see if can you hear?
No.
Hold on. Can you hear me?
I don't know if you're talking on the computer.
Hold on. Hold on. Can you hear me now?
For everybody's listening, that is Faye who's calling in. She's having trouble with her computer.
Can you hear me through the computer now or no?
That was
Can
murdered
you hear me?
by a Gainesville, Florida sheriff.
So it must not be working on my on the. I don't know why my microphone is not working on my computer. Because I was just trying while you were just talking. I was trying to highlight it. So I guess you couldn't hear me. That's
No, I haven't heard you since you've been on. So anyway, this is fine. You talk on the phone, and I'll take down the phone number. No need to have that on. And I had asked you. We're on the rule number 3. We're on the rule number 3. We are talking about Roger.
Okay.
And I'm telling you how important not to answer the door. Yeah, that's fine. You have the picture of him. But that's the gentleman that was gunned down. And that was only because he answered the door. What should have happened is the Gainesville sheriff was investigating a domestic squabble at an apartment complex, and the lady may have directed him to the wrong place. He did no preliminary investigation by listening to the walls or searching, listening to windows or see if there's anything going on in the apartment. Instead, he banged on the door, bang, 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 then banged again several times. And the guy inside was getting a little concerned, so he grabbed his gun. He had a right to bear an arm, and he was standing at the doorway in front of the door with the gun pointing down. Now, the sheriff was stupid because if someone did have a gun drawn, they could shoot right through the drawer and kill the sheriff on the spot. You should have learned in your class in 101 how to be a sheriff and how to do investigations. You never stand in front of a door. That is dangerous. Furthermore, if you're going to tell someone to open a door or that you want to come in, you need to speak to them with respect. It's all right to be stern. It's all right to be there, but it's something like, hello, this is Sheriff so-and-so with the Gainesville, Florida Sheriff's Department. We're here to investigate a domestic dispute. Is there anybody in the place with you? And if they say no, then he can say, well, if you're in there, I want you, if you have a weapon, to put it off to the side. I want you to unlock the door, lay face down, put your hands behind your heads. Then he could, left of the door jamb, open the door and check out the scene, and then handcuff the individual and look in the apartment for the rest of somebody else. Instead, the guy opened the door, and he was shot 5 times point blank. So the guy is dead. So I want that. Anytime you think about opening the door to anybody, police, things, think about that guy that was shot to death. You don't open the door to anybody. You were told as a little child, don't open to strangers. Anybody knocks on your door is a stranger.
Can you hear me?
I mean, you just open the door. And so what you can do is hide out in the latter part of the apartment or the house, hide in a closet, but don't open it. They will leave a card or they will leave a message or they know how to get a hold of you. They'll get a hold of you. But you don't have to open the door to them. And you don't have to talk to social workers. It's a
Okay.
yes, no answer. So many people, this last guy this morning says he's out in the yard. The social workers came up and they said, we want to talk to your wife, blah, blah, blah. What he should have said, you should have said no and yes answers and say, I need to speak to my attorney. Can you give me your business card? You have to diffuse the situation. You have to. You don't want to talk to them in the house because they'll use what's in the house against you. If you talk to them and tell them your life story, they use that against you. I did that. That was my mistake. Telling them stuff that I shouldn't have told them. So anyway,
I'm not on the phone.
That is a hard lesson to maybe, but think of that. Also, you don't want to let the police or talk to them either. Are you still there, Danielle?
I'm actually on the computer. Can you hear me?
Oh boy, I lost Danielle on the phone. Here, let me go ahead.
Bob, can you not hear me? Can you hear me on here?
Oh boy.
Bob can't hear me.
I'm trying to call Daniel Watt.
So
Suddenly I was taken
Bob,
off. Okay.
Can you hear me?
I'm calling you again. You hung up on the phone.
Everybody can hear me.
We can hear you on the phone, but if you hang up on the phone, then we can't hear you.
No, she said she heard me on the mic.
Oh.
I mean, I muted it now. Yeah, but you can't hear me, Bob?
Okay, hold on a second. I'll mute you here on the phone and you talk on the mic.
Let me know if it works. Can you hear me? Say something, Bob. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Grace?
Try again.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
There we go.
I'll hang up.
Okay.
I hear you now.
I don't know what was going on. That's weird.
I agree.
There was another app that had my my mic occupied instead of. That's what Grace said. So I went and checked, and it was Zoom. It was Zoom, Grace. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we are again talking about we are talking about not answering the door and not letting people in, and that's my third rule, and it's so important. And there's another sidebar of this thing is that not only you don't let them in, you don't talk to them. This gentleman today that called in from Louisiana, Columbia, Louisiana, near Shreveport, said he was in the yard doing some yard work, and a social worker came up to him and says, "Where is your wife? We want to speak to her." What he did, and did a mistake, he talked and he should have said, "I'm sorry, I don't know who you are. Could you please excuse yourself from my property?" See, this is the previous. These social workers are so blatant. They'll come into your yard. They'll come into your home if your door is unlocked. And they'll come into your ranch. If you have a big ranch, you don't have the gate. What you need to do is you need to have no trespassing. Keep out. You need to make your place secured. You don't want to answer these people because they're animals. I'm telling you, these social workers are animals. Yes, anybody that can wear a pink T-shirt and proudly display, I am a professional child kidnapper, should not be in social service. And that's how the majority of them are. And so I challenge any of you people out there.
They shouldn't be
doing that. Now, another part about answering is called the medical trafficking. That's where you take your child to the hospital and then they call CPS because they may suspect something with your child or something. You have to be careful about taking children into the hospital because CPS workers are working there and they will try to take your child. Don't let them. They're your children. They're your educational and health rights. And they cannot take your children unless they have a court order. It's called a warrant. And on that court order, it's got very specifically say your name, the child's names, the allegations, the address. They're going to investigate what they're going to do. They're going to take the child, talk to you, or inspect your home. And then they got to say, the time, the date of the investigation. Then on top of that, there's got to be a signature by a judge. This is a court order thing with an embossed seal stamped in that paperwork. If that doesn't have that thing, then they don't let them in. And also, they use old paperwork to make copies and use old, and they'll buffalo you. CPS workers are champion buffaloes. Not only they're professional traffickers, they're also con artists. They're liars, they're cheaters. And, I'm saying harsh things about human beings, but they are. And I've challenged any social worker listening. If you think they're not true, then talk to me. I had Carol from Maryland talk to me for 40 minutes, and she was a Maryland CPS worker. So anyway, I'm telling you, is that you got to, if you are a CPS worker, you got to owe up to it. Now, there may be good ones. I'm not saying all of them are bad, but you have to meet one. I love to meet one. I love to meet one that puts the family first, that doesn't take a children right away. They think every child, 99% of the time, the child's in imminent danger, and they're not. They're not. And if you're having a child, the social workers don't belong in your birth room. Don't let them take your child. They'll come in the birth room with a policeman and try to take your child right after birth. The answer is no. You tell the doctor to get them out of there. You tell the doctor ahead of time that you don't want visitors in there. You got to be really careful right now going to hospitals. They're not a safe place anymore because CPS hangs out there. They're like vultures. They're looking for children to kidnap. That's why they're called professional kidnappers. They also do not protect your child in foster care. Foster care does molest children, does hurt children. They do trafficking, which is illegal. They do alienation, which is illegal. So keep those rules in mind. And I know that Kima and Darlene, you've heard them also. And Darlene was talking about her case in Cherokee, Georgia, Cherokee County, which I know Danielle knows about where that is.
Yeah, because what's crazy is with Cherokee, the judge that she's talking about, I don't understand how this county. I've learned from talking with other people, and like with Darlene, that they have like their own little quarters where they go in and they talk, their little chambers, and they talk without the other person. And there ain't no telling what they come up with behind closed doors. I mean, and what's crazy is this county works so close knit together, and they're they know each other very, very well. And it sucks because you're like, it's already a failed mission when you go into that third floor at that courthouse. It sucks. I mean, and that's how it is. You don't realize that at first, but after you go to that first court hearing, anytime after that, you start seeing the games, and that they play. I mean, they create problems that don't even exist, and they come up with information that is definitely not true or don't even exist. I mean, it didn't even happen. And they are a big group that they work side by side. So at the end of the day, they're going to look out for themselves. And I've never heard of where they can take the juvenile records and put them on that to where they're easily accessible for them to have access to where they can redact something or get all of a sudden, oops, this is in the throw something away. And that's what a problem that they've been having in that county that has been recent.
Anyway, Danielle, it's close to her closing time. I started a couple minutes late, and it's already 8:00, and so we need to sign off. I want to thank Darlene from Georgia, from Cherokee County, talking about her case. And she has been on the show, and she did talk a lot. She has a lot of information. I want to talk about Kima Richardson from Brooklyn, New York. That was so great. that you still talk and still fight. She has the hardest battle because her kids have turned against her, and it seems like everybody's against her, and she is just pulling her hair out. And it's so hard for her in Brooklyn, New York. And I really hope that her case can get better. But I want to thank her input. She said a lot during the show time in there. And then anybody else? I get anybody else? No, I didn't. I do get a lot of emojis, a lot of thumbs and loves and smiley faces and people that are in the room. I want to thank you all. I want to thank for your comments. Danielle, I want to thank you too. Make sure that, I wish you were on earlier, but anyway, you can stay after and then we can talk. But anyway, I want to thank you all. And so this is Bob Pace and Danielle saying night night and God bless and keep fighting for your kids. I'll see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And it's good night.